Hello and welcome to Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about Cafe Daisy and the Flopovers.
Magic moments from the cast members.
All that and more in our Disneyland trip report. Let's dive in. All right, and this is episode number 85. Cannot wait to dive into this one. This should be a good one.
This is going to be a very exciting one because this is all about our most recent trip to the Disneyland Resort. And let me tell you, we had some magic happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
You even plugged the name of the new parade.
Oh, yeah.
If that's just a hint of what we're going to talk about. But yes, it was a magical trip. Like it pretty much was like, I think Caitlin said, this feels like Disney pre-pandemic.
Yes, it was amazing.
It was really fun.
I loved it. And again, we'll get into it later.
Yeah, let's get into it.
But it was one of those that went by too quickly.
It went by way too fast. So before we dive into all that fun stuff, other than Disney, we got back on a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And Wednesday through Friday, pretty much uneventful work. It was catching up on work, which is lame.
Yeah, and mainly just recouping because we were exhausted.
Oh, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I felt sick. I was so tired. I'm not sick. But
yeah, we're definitely not sick. It was one of those where we kind of we normally, when we go to Disney, we don't go all day.
No.
And this trip we did. Like we went from
all
like
day.
10 a.m. to like midnight. And again, for those who are like do it all the time, they're like, wow. For
Good
us,
for
it's
you.
a lot. And we loved it. It was so much fun. We did have a couple naps in between each day.
Naps were had.
Which we'll get into some funny stories regarding that later. But it was all around just such a great trip. And I'm so excited to dive in.
Yes. Before we do, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Giant help to the show. The rating is a star system. So if you give us 5 stars, we'd super appreciate that on both Apple Podcast and Spotify. A review is a written review. That's only available on Apple Podcast, and that helps the show out even more. Mm-hmm. So huge thank you for doing that. And for all those that already have, huge thank you. And for those that will, thank you.
Thank you. And speaking of those who have, we have a new review.
We do. Why don't you read it off?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So this is from TSomeLover87. This is a 5-star review. And I want to apologize in advance. Apple is known for not showing the whole title of the review, so it got caught up a little bit. So this one says, Market House Podcast is a must for any Disney, and then it cut off. So sorry about that.
Whatever you said, thank you.
Thank you. But the review is, I came across Market House Podcast through my Instagram post when I was looking for a new Disney podcast to add to my rotation. After listening to a few episodes, I was hooked. It has everything you could want in a podcast, the latest news, trivia, new products, and a piece of Disney history. I learned something new every episode. The best part is the hosts' chemistry. Caleb and Caitlin complement each other so well and are a true joy to listen to. I look forward to listening every Monday, and I hope they continue for a long time. And this is from Krista, and her Instagram handle is at a dog named Cassie, which thank you so much, Krista. Again, as we've said like 300 times, getting these reviews literally just makes our entire day. The fact that you guys just take just a moment or a couple minutes just to take the time to write these reviews out for us, it truly means the world to us, and we just get so excited. And just to see little things that you're truly enjoying with the podcast, that's like the cherry on top.
Yes. Thank you so much, Krista. Very nice words. We appreciate them. I think Caitlin actually showed me this when we were taking off.
Yeah, it popped up because
on the plane.
It's a delayed
it takes a few
for
days.
us. So it doesn't, for those who don't know, right when you leave a review, it doesn't show us for like a couple days. So when it popped up, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a new review. So I was so excited.
She was trying to talk over the and I was like, what? She's like, we have a new review. I was like, oh, thank you. So huge thank you to Krista. Appreciate that. And then also you can support the show by using our Getaway Today link to book your Disney vacations. That's in the episode description. So click on that. That supports the show. And you can also save an additional $10 on a vacation package if you use code MarketHouse10. All right, let's get into the trip report. All right. Cannot wait to dive into this trip report. It was a fantastic time. But because we have so much to talk about, we are skipping the usual news segment, Shop the Mouse, and trivia. So we apologize for that. But we want to keep this as not brief as possible, but also not to go too long.
Right.
You know, sometimes you just got to just shave it off.
These are some of our favorite episodes to record, so we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, people are busy.
Yeah.
We can't take too much of the time. So let's go ahead and talk about the fun stuff, our trip. So we flew out on a Saturday this time. We usually fly out on Friday after work, but because of our pass situation, we flew in on Saturday, and our pass was still blocked off. We had the Enchant key, and it was blocked off that Saturday. So we used Saturday for a downtown Disney / like resort hopping, the Disneyland Resort, and what's that other one called? Grand California
Grand
Hotel.
California, which we love going into.
We love that resort. It's so gorgeous. We love it so much that we posted a lot from it. And some of our friends were like, "Are you staying there?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, no. I don't have that kind of cash." But no, we wish. But the $800 a night is kind of a hurdle.
But let me tell you, there was a line for check-in every single day we walked in.
I just wanted to go around being like, "What do you do for a living? Are they hiring? Can I work for you?"
Yeah.
Even if it's illegal,
It's
I will
a dream for
do
us.
it.
No. Oh my
Just
gosh.
kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, we flew in on a Saturday. We grabbed Tangaroa Terrace for dinner, which you don't know what that is. It's the restaurant in the Disneyland hotel area, right next to Trader Sam's.
Right. And I have to say, I wasn't very happy with the food this time. Normally it's great. Again, it was okay. It wasn't like it was terrible. Caleb and I did split. It was like a Hawaiian cheeseburger, so I had like pineapple on it. It was okay.
It was all right. It was dry.
It came out like dry and it wasn't very warm. And then Caleb ordered a gluten-free teriyaki plate, teriyaki chicken.
Hawaiian platter.
Hawaiian platter.
Yes.
So it had teriyaki chicken, rice, like some pineapple. Very, very good, but it was cold.
Yeah, it wasn't very warm.
But even though it was cold, it was really good.
It was good. But keep in mind, too, for you families and even just couples and, I don't know, even you single folk, it's expensive.
Very expensive.
It was, for a counter service restaurant, it was $45, over $45, I think, for the two of us. With our discount, we get 10% off with the key, so it brought it down like $4 or $5. But anyways, it's kind of expensive, so I can't imagine for a family, even one person going to grab a burger, they're like $22 for a burger.
Yeah, and I know the teriyaki plate was a little expensive too.
Yeah, so it was okay. For the money, I would probably go somewhere else.
Right.
But it wasn't bad by all means.
No, because we've had it before and it was amazing.
True. So maybe off
miss.
night.
Yeah.
But before we move forward, I do have to rewind a bit and tell you kind of a funny story in kind of a like typical me fashion. I changed my mind last minute. So originally we were supposed to stay at a Hyatt down there, the Hyatt House off of Harbor. It's right there in the corner above the Walgreens, and then right across the street's the Spring Hill Suites. That's above the CVS. So it's the two hotels that are above the pharmacies, basically.
Right.
So it gets great reviews. Nothing wrong with the Hyatt House. We showed up. We checked into we were using points, so it's 100% free to me. And we get into the room, and I'm kind of looking around. And I'm like, okay, it's a hotel. It's just a standard hotel. Nothing to write home about, really. We were on the second story, overlooking Harbor, so it was kind of loud. I will admit that.
Really close to the parks, though, which was an awesome thing.
Yes, I mean a very short walk, so that's a plus. But I don't know. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, this is a really big trip for us. We don't know. We're still contemplating. Are we going to renew? Are we going to maybe pass for a year?
Yeah.
And do maybe some other vacations like Disney World more or a Disney cruise? Definitely stick with Disney, but we just don't know.
Right, which we'll dive into in later episodes.
Yes, so that we got plans to tell you about. But we're just trying to figure out what are we going to do. So this, may be our last trip on this pass. So we don't know. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what? The Westin is our favorite resort. And it's Caitlin's favorite, and she just loves it. And so we stayed there a couple of times, and I'm like, I wonder if they have any availability. I'm just going to look.
And let me just backtrack. Caleb's like thinking about this the moment we get into the hotel till pretty much about dinner time.
I was very distracted. I'm
He's
sorry.
Just thinking. And
I know.
I'm like, what is going on? And you're like, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, Caitlin kept going like, what's wrong? And I was like, no, nothing, just thinking. So we're like walking through downtown Disney. She's trying to show me merch, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And we eat dinner, and I'm like, okay, awesome. So I said, give me a second. I'm going to go call someone. And so I ran off by myself and called the Westin and said, hey, I'm so sorry. It's a last minute request, but like, do you guys have any rooms? I'm maybe going to surprise my wife and just take her over there. We're already at a resort down here, but there's nothing like you guys.
Yeah. And just an added thing is it was a very busy weekend. The Disneyland Hotel and I believe the Grand California
Fully
were
booked.
sold out.
Fully booked.
Yeah. And all of the key, or at least our key was sold out. So it was a really busy weekend.
Booked
so
up, like
we weren't sure.
Reservations wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very busy. And they said, yes, we have some rooms available. Come by. And they actually kind of hooked us up. They were like, hey, just quote this rate that we found online and we'll beat it if you book it directly with us. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So long story short, I said, Caitlin, we're grabbing our bags and we're going to go move over to the Westin because we love it that much. And let me just tell you, I'm just telling you this because I don't know what is like a bigger endorsement. I went from a 100% free stay using credit card points, opting to pay cash for a hotel because I like it that much.
It's just a different experience.
It really is. Like I sleep like a baby when it comes to, I just don't know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to maybe encourage you like to consider checking it out. Like for your next vacation, if you guys know you're going to spend a lot of time in the room, which we do, we spend more time than the average park goer because we do like kicking our feet up for a little bit, watching it. I was watching Frozen one day in the room while Caitlin hung out and we went back for dinner. So if you spend a decent amount of time in the room, if you value kind of more uppity, nice, what do you call it?
Kind of like an experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, for those who don't know or for those who do know, you're like, okay, the Westin's kind of expensive. It is. It is cheaper than the Disney park hotels.
Way cheaper.
And again, always look for deals because they always have like Magic Key discounts. They run random sales throughout the year. So definitely look on competitor websites because there are some really good deals that aren't that far away from what you would pay on Harbor, which is quite surprising.
It's so true. So my dad surprised our family with a trip not too long ago, and so he paid for everyone's hotel, which was very nice of him. But we all stayed at the Spring Hill Suites, and it was maybe the same exact price as what we paid for the Westin. Now it's farther, I will give him that.
Yeah.
But it's just better accommodations, I guess.
Right.
So anywho, check out Getaway today because they had a crazy deal the other day when I was looking. It was insane.
Wasn't it like get 4 nights or buy 4 nights and get the 5th free or something
think
like
so.
that for the Westin?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions about hotels regarding Harbor or the Westin, just let us know and then we'll just go from there.
Please do.
Yeah.
So anyways, now that the hotel story's out of the way, it was, again, so how was the stay? It was amazing. I'm so glad I made the move. Even though I was paying out of pocket versus a free stay, I just did not regret it for 1 second. It was amazing. I sat out on a balcony while Caitlin was in the room just hanging out, and I could see the what's it called, the Incredicoaster. I could hear them screaming on it. I looked over and there's people with a lot of money pulling up in very nice cars.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god.
It was so they had there's always an important, I call them important people conferences there. Every single time we go, there's some conference going on with a bunch of very wealthy individuals like staying there because it's a conference hotel. So I look down and there's all these very fancy people pulling up with very nice cars. I think there was like a Ferrari that pulled up.
Yeah, and it's always like the inside joke of all these people are dressed super nicely, and then here comes Caleb and I, like all
clothes.
Disneyed out with like lounge flies and ears on.
I'm in basketball shorts. Like it's not a look. So I'm sitting there hanging out. But anyways, it was like a home builders, like all the major home builders it was a conference for C-suite executives or presidents.
Invite only or something
invite
like that.
only, some fancy. So these people had money, and so I was enjoying the nice cars.
We were just watching them walk in eating chocolate caramels. And
I was like, how much do you make? Okay, day 1, park day number 1. This was Sunday.
A great day on Sunday.
It was so good. This was the warmest day. It was kind of chilly in the morning, but warmed up in the afternoon, and it was surprisingly humid.
Very humid.
It was sticky. I don't like sticky.
To the point where like you'd walk out and your hair, at least my hair, would kind of just fall. Like I had my hair curled.
Yeah.
It would just
Spent all that work in the morning.
Yeah.
So we started off our morning by grabbing breakfast at the Craftsman Grill over at the Grand Californian. And again, we were kind of bummed with this experience. It wasn't as good as it usually was.
Which is really weird because we've eaten here countless times and it's always been the same. This time they changed the gluten-free bun, which was quite weird. It was kind of like a stale, didn't you get toast? It was toast, not
gluten-free bread. It's not good.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then the eggs, they normally do like fresh eggs. These were like the powder mixed eggs.
They were gross.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
But again, other people's meals looked great. So again, I think it's just hit and miss.
I know. Maybe gluten-free thing. So
Yeah.
who knows? We got a ton of rides done that day. We're not going to bore you with the list, but for some reason, Sunday was really slow versus Monday. Monday and Tuesday were busier than a weekend, which kind of messed me up.
Sunday was definitely the least popular day the whole trip.
So weird. So We did ride Haunted Mansion, but I'm just going to say one kind of nitpicky note. And if you're like, dude, you pay way too much attention, that's just what we do. We do a Disney podcast, so we're very,
Very
aware
alert.
of what's going on. No, when we were riding the Haunted Mansion, I was like, it's so bright in here. It's too bright. So when you have that initial climb, when you get into your dune buggy.
Like when you're going up the staircase.
Yeah, and you're going up the staircase. If you look to your right, it should be pitch dark. It should be very dark. It was like fully lit. I could see like a bunch of drywall patches.
That's weird. I've never seen that before.
Weird. When we got into the graveyard scene and, the singing busts and stuff, you could see there's a screen that they put in between you and some of the animatronics to make the lighting look better. I could totally see the screen. Usually it's kind of like hard to see.
And like faded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was full on. You could see the exact time where it starts. So it was kind of weird. Like it was almost too well lit.
Yeah, I think they definitely replaced the lights inside the Haunted Mansion. So it's kind of just like that brighter effect.
think they
And
need
over
to, like-
time, they'll dull.
That or they need to like redirect them.
Yeah.
Not so direct on people. But anyways, again, if you're a casual Disney fan, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. And you'd be like, okay, dude. Like, again, I'm not complaining, just a note. We did hit the new Toontown, which was...
Oh my gosh. It blew my mind.
It's so good.
It was amazing. It was very crowded, but there are so many things that I just loved about this area. They did such a great job.
Yeah, the theater is amazing that houses the new ride, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. The splash fountain for little kids, they were loving it.
So fun. And all the greenery that you can sit down and kind of enjoy your lunch. The picnic area where the kids can get a picnic basket. And just like all the new scenery, like Cafe Daisy, which we'll get into in just a couple minutes. We were there quite often throughout our whole trip.
Yeah, I kept wanting to go back because their soundtrack too for the area is so
good.
good.
I would say it's one of the best throughout the whole
It's really
park.
good.
Yeah.
So we had a good time. No complaints about the new Toontown. The only one I would have is I'm like, make it bigger. Like, of course they can't because they're landlocked.
Yeah.
But I'm like, make that thing bigger because so many kids were back there. They were having so much fun. Families. Like, I would spend a lot more time back there if it wasn't so hectic.
Yeah.
But again, not Disney's fault for not having enough land.
Yeah.
But blast.
But Mickey and
Minnie's.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, absolutely amazing. I would have to say that we decided to not purchase the lightning lane for this attraction because we wanted to go through the queue. Absolutely amazing for like little ones. The ride queue was just so, what am I trying to say? It was so interactive. There were so many things to look at and kind of like mess around with. It was just, there was a concession area where like, I won't get too much detail, but it was just like, it literally felt like you're walking into a movie theater. The ride was amazing. I don't really know how it's different than the Disney World one.
I didn't notice anything.
I didn't either. This one I did notice was a little more jerky than Disney World's.
Yeah, I feel like, again, it may have been just pure excitement, but when we rode it in Hollywood Studios over on the East Coast, I didn't feel like I got queasy or anything. This one, I got a little motion sick.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but it was just enough to where, I don't know if the ride motion's a little different, if it's a little quicker. Any kind of difference can make you a little more motion sick.
Yeah.
This one, I walked off a little like, ooh, that kind of messed me up, but then I got better right away.
Yeah.
So, again, maybe it's the way the rooms were designed and you kind of spin around a little more. I'm not sure.
Well, there was like a grown man next to me when we were riding it, and I was like trying to not like fling into him because
really?
I didn't realize it was that like intense.
It was moving kind of fast, yeah.
I remember like smacking into him once, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never doing that again. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like trying to stay on Caleb's side.
It was a fun time.
Awesome.
So after Runaway Railway, we went and grabbed lunch at Cafe Daisy, which is it's not new. There was a dining location there, but they changed the name and they have way more food offerings. And let me tell you, the new Flopovers, which is basically a folded up pizza.
Right.
They have a gluten-free one and it is so good.
We got it twice.
We got it
were
twice.
there. And I have one little tip for you guys because we kind of looked around. I wanted to see like the regular version. If you go to Toontown and you go to Cafe Daisy and you want to try the flop over, we highly recommend trying the gluten-free one. And I'm going to stop you right there before you're like, ew, I'm not trying the gluten-free one. From someone who doesn't have celiac, this was probably one of the best food items I've ever had at Disneyland. The gluten-free version is different than the regular version. The regular flop over is very thin. It's almost like it's on a flatbread type of pizza. The gluten-free one is like you're having like regular crust pizza. It's like thicker, it's more fluffy. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you kind of get a little more for your buck.
Oh, it's way bigger than the regular one.
Yeah.
So if you go there and you try out the gluten-free version, let us know, tag us on Instagram with a picture of it, and let us know what your thoughts are because it was, even if I didn't, have to order gluten-free, I would definitely stick to that one over the regular one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Big endorsement from Caitlin on the gluten-free flop over, and it's a great value. It's like $10, and
It's huge.
It's very filling. Like I
Yeah.
almost didn't finish it. I mean, I did.
I did too.
But I was like, I'm going to force it down. It's so good. The seating area is a little crazy, though. I will give a little bit of a critique on that one. It is like picnic-style seating, or not picnic, but picnic tables kind of, right?
Right.
So it's outdoor seating. It's all right there in front. It is so busy and so hard to nail a shaded seat that there's like, again, not their fault. They're trying to find a seat, but there's a lot of families like standing around like right over you, waiting for you to eat
Like, they're
and
almost
get
like,
up.
Get up.
I know.
And you're
So they're like
like,
staring
"No."
at you like, are you almost done? And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I just sat down.
Yeah.
So it's that weird, like, they serve them in bags. So they're like to-go bags. I would encourage you, if it's a little crazy that day, take those bags, walk towards Fantasyland, and over by the Fantasyland Theater, there's a ton of like curb seating. I'd go find a shaded spot over there and just eat there.
Or go sit on the new turf that they put in Toontown. Just grab a spot because there was plenty spots over there.
Could. It's kind of all in the sun.
There's shaded areas. Just whatever's best for you. Just look around, but you don't have to sit on the picnic tables that they offer.
Yes, true. We finally got to see Magic Happens. This is the
gosh.
new parade in Disneyland, and let me tell you, it is worth the wait. It's worth the, sitting on the curb for 45 minutes for a spot. It is so good, but let me tell you why it was even better for our experience. A cast member made
some magic happen.
magic happen, quite literally. We were sitting over by...
The Mad Hatter by the trash can.
Yes, and if you're confused by where that's at, this is by the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Right there on the right side of Main Street. And we're waiting for the parade, and I asked he was a custodial staff member, and I said, hey, are we going to be able to see the parade here? Can I sit here? And it's just a little corner curb. No one was sitting there, so I was like, maybe it's off limits.
No, because how sometimes they're like, no, you can't sit there. Like, you need to sit somewhere else.
Yeah,
We
for
weren't
some reason.
sure.
We didn't know. So I said, hey, can I sit here? And he's like, I think you can, but you're probably not going to see the parade because they go that way. And he pointed, and I said, oh, okay. No worries. He goes, you know what? Ask those people right there in the middle of Main Street. They'll tell you. So there's two other cast members. They look like they're show cast members, that do the directing and stuff. And I asked this one person, cast member, I said, hey, can we sit right there next to those trash cans? Are we allowed to sit there? I just want to make sure we're out of the way and whatever. And she's like, yeah, you can sit there. She goes, wait, is it just you two? And I was like, yeah, it's my wife. It's just us two. And she's like, okay, give me a second. So she walks away and like grabs a little piece of paper. And she goes, can I get your name? And I was like, yeah, it's Caleb.
He's like, oh gosh.
I know. I'm like, am I getting in trouble? And she goes, okay, no worries. I'm going to use my whatever. I'm going to use a little bit of power here and hook you up with some bench seats. Would you like to sit here at these benches right in front of the parade entrance?
And we're talking the reserved benches.
So I asked her, I said, well, number one, I was like, of course, but are you sure? Like, this is so nice. And she's like, yeah, this is her first time seeing it. We want you to get a good view. So we sat in these reserved seating. There's it's all roped off, and there's only one other family there. And I'm like, what are these usually used for? And they said, oh, it's for the people that book VIP tours with a VIP tour guide. They get reserved seating. So it was us and some VIP tour guide family.
That was it. And then we had a direct shot at the parade. They were coming right at us the whole time. It was literally the perfect seat.
Yes. So thank you, Lauren. You are amazing. I don't think she's listening, but if you are in the future, thank you. We also submitted a cast member shout out on the app, which you can do. I highly encourage you to do it because I think I get little prizes and perks here and there if they get enough of those. So thank you so much. And let me just tell you, the highlight, even more so than the bench, was Merlin.
Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious.
He was so funny.
Yes.
I literally the clip we got of him, I'll have to share it on Instagram. I remember, and not just that, but overall the whole parade, it was so colorful. The soundtrack was amazing. All the cast members were just absolutely exquisite the whole time during the show. And I told Caleb, it was one of those where I felt like when we were watching this, because how sometimes Disney comes out with shows and you're kind of like, that was kind of cheaply done.
Yeah.
Or this really felt like a parade that happened pre-pandemic, which is what we were talking about. The magic was there. You can tell they invested time and thinking behind it. It was one of those magical, oh my gosh, this is Disney.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I agree. The music's amazing. We've been listening to it nonstop and couldn't say better things about this parade.
Right.
So good. Speaking of cast members, they were not messing around this trip, which we're all for. All four cast members putting their foot down and being like, you are not going to like ignore me.
Yeah, because we experienced multiple things this trip where people were very rude and inconsiderate
Super
to
rude.
cast members, which is very distasteful in
So I'm
my
like,
opinion.
dude, stop.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
be
really
nice.
weird.
So we're sitting there watching the parade and having a blast. And I look to my right, and there's this group of people sprinting through the parade while
Like
it's going.
as it's going on.
Yes. And ignored cast members because they were yelling at them to stop. Ignored them, sprinted, and like tried to dip into a crowd to like skip an area. And actually, Lauren was one of them, and another guy jumped on them and were like, "Excuse me," and we're like yelling like, what'd she say? She was like, absolutely not.
Well, because
absolutely
again,
not.
the flow is coming, so it's a safety hazard,
Oh, I
number
know.
one. And number two, these girls are just completely ignoring them. They bulldoze into one of the cast members trying to get away.
Yeah.
And they were like, it was like this look of like, are you kidding me
Are
right
you
now?
joking? Yeah, so they called security, I think, because he was following and like radioing people.
Yeah, because they jumped through that
Barrier.
barrier.
Yeah.
Where like the trees are, where there's kind of like stuff around it. Good grief.
It was crazy. So they tracked them down. I'm hoping they had some kind of thing because I'm like, no, that behavior is like unnecessary and stupid. We also saw a person jump over the line at Cars. We were riding in single, what's it called? Single rider. So Caitlin and I were like, we're not waiting in this hour line. Let's do single rider. So we're in the single rider line. There's a family to the right of us in the fast pass line, or I'm sorry, lightning lane. My bad. And she looks over to the lady behind us and she goes, hey, just jump over. And I think she was, related to them.
Yeah.
And she's like, just jump over, join us. And she's like, okay. So she jumps over the thing thinking no one saw. We make it up to the front.
And let me hold you right there. She's close to the cast members. It's not like she did it like midway.
I know.
And Caleb and I are looking at each other like, what's going to happen
Like,
here?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
So we make it up to the front, and right when the family thinks they're about to get on a ride, the cast member goes, oh, hey, by the way, I saw you jump the line. So you can either get in the back of the single rider line where you came from, or you can leave. And she threw a fit saying, I can't believe you're going to separate me and my family. That's inconsiderate of you. I didn't think it was a big deal because they all have lightning lanes. And they were kind of like, that's besides the point. So you can either get in the back of the lightning lane, of the single rider line, or you can leave. And she was like, I'll leave. And so she left.
It's just moments like that, though, where I'm like, people are just being rude, number one, trying to take advantage of something. If you want to do lightning lane, just pay for it. Don't be someone that's trying to cheat the system and hop the line. And then on top of that, give cast members attitude because they're following the rules.
Yeah.
Just don't do that. That's
It's
just
messed
not
up.
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be an adult. Don't show your kids that cheating is okay.
Exactly.
And follow the rules. And respect people. Respect cast members because they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, cast
All right.
members.
We did ride Cars using the single rider line, which is so worth it if you guys can do it. We waited 10 minutes.
And we got to race each other.
We got to race each
which
other.
was awesome.
Yeah, so I got a good video of it. We have to share it, of racing Caitlin, and
was
I won.
fun.
I won.
You did.
Sorry. We decided to cancel our Carthay Circle reservation that night because you guys were seriously awesome and just let us know. The vast majority of you were like, meh,
Don't do it.
possibly not worth the money.
Yeah. Which
So-
again, it's a lot of money. It's not like it's like $10 a plate. So thank you all to everyone who messaged us and gave us feedback. We are very happy that we canceled because we decided to snag another reservation.
We did. Caitlin scored some wine country. Is it Trattoria or Trattoria? I don't know, but we'll call it wine country. Some wine country reservations over in DCA. And we're so glad we did because the food was so good.
It was definitely the highlight of the trip, I feel like.
It was the highlight. And they did some price increases. My plate went from I think it used to be $20.
20 to 27, and then mine used to be 16 and it was 20.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Not small increases. Those are big.
The one thing I do have to say about wine country though is you do get a lot for what you pay for. It's not one of those where you get like a tiny plate of pasta.
Sure.
It is a lot. So
Yeah,
just keep
and let
that
me
in
tell
mind.
you, don't go in expecting legit a wine country restaurant like in Napa. Like you've been to a few of those.
No.
Those are another level. Those
Yeah.
are gorgeous, very good. Michelin star chefs usually just very good. This is not that. It's I would say it's a step up above Olive Garden. I would say it's better than Olive Garden.
Oh yeah, I would say the way you could look at it is it's elevated park food.
Yes.
It's way good. Again, you'll leave going, okay, the ambiance is beautiful. The food was great. The service was amazing.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So
Again, we had another thing that a cast member did. It was one of those where I'm like, are we on camera or something?
it was a day of magic.
It was a
seriously.
day of magic. So we're sitting there eating our food. We finish up. I pay the bill. And our server comes up and says, hey, what are you guys doing after this?
I'm like, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, what? So I thought she was making small talk. I'm like, hey, I think we're going to go ride. Sorry, not ride. We're going to go watch the fireworks. And she goes, oh, you're not going to see World of Color. And I said, well, no.
We forgot to get reservations.
I forgot to do the stinking, what do you call it? Virtual queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so forgot to do the virtual queue. We want to see it in a viewing area, so we'll do it tomorrow night. And she goes, no, you're going to see World of Color tonight.
And we're like, what?
Yeah, like, okay, yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever you say.
She said it so straight faced too.
And she handed us 2 reserved seating. So like she gave us basically what people get when they do the dinner package.
Yeah, for like the show.
Yeah. And so she just handed us 2 of those. She goes, like, shh, don't tell anyone. And she goes, go see it. Meet up at 9:00 in front of whatever.
Oh,
so nice of her.
And it was like perfect timing because the time we finished eating, it was like 8:15.
Yeah.
8:20.
So we went and walked around a little bit and then went and saw World of Color in a fantastic viewing spot.
It was amazing.
So nice of her. So again, cast members, thank you for making little bits of magic.
Yeah.
Please continue doing that for other families because that is just amazing when it happens.
Yeah, because again, that's something that we'll never forget. Like that was truly just a like, oh my gosh, like that was awesome.
So we saw World of Color 1. And it was, again, thank you, cast member, for hooking it up. But also, it was our least favorite show, I think, of this trip.
Are we talking spoilers?
Yeah, let's dive in. So if you haven't seen, it's been out long enough, I think. If you haven't seen it and you want to skip a couple minutes, go ahead.
Okay.
But I think enough of you have probably seen this already on YouTube or in person that we can talk about it.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and start off if that's okay. I did not like this show at all. I did not like the soundtrack.
Dang.
I was kind of bored the whole time. I put up a poll on Instagram a couple days ago asking if you preferred the regular World of Color or the World of Color 1. Every single person except for one person
No way.
preferred the original one.
Wow.
My whole thing with it is the original one, it made you feel something the whole time. It was very emotional. There was just highs and lows with the music, and it kind of just kept you going. Like the music was like, yes, this is happening. It was this buildup. I felt like with the World of Color 1, every time that it would start that buildup and you would start to like feel like the emotion, like the anticipation, they would cut it and they would just stop and then would move on to something else. For those who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, it's just like this weird thing where I'm like, I love the feeling that you would get with the original one, and I felt like it really lacked that in this one.
Dang.
And I felt like, again, spoiler here, like just random times, like the Star Wars section was super long.
It was very long. So that was the longest segment, I think.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was just like, what?
Yeah.
It was weird. And I felt like it was super random, like there wasn't a story. I don't know. That was just me.
Yeah, I kind of like the message of the song of like, hey.
Oh, yeah, the ripple effect.
Yeah, who's going to start a change? Like you are. If you do a little thing, it's going to affect a lot of people. That's cool. But other than that, I think Caitlin's kind of hit on the head. It was okay. The original is way better.
Yeah, I just felt like this one was more sad than like uplifting.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know.
I haven't been told a lot of people like World of Color 1 better than the original. So
Sure. Okay.
we'll see.
After World of Color 1, we just hit a bunch of rides up because of our short waits, and we took advantage of that.
Yes.
All right. Monday, our second park day, we woke up to a very cold morning. It was very cold. And headed over to Pim's Test Kitchen for breakfast. And this is our first time eating breakfast there. And it was very good. We had the gluten-free breakfast plate. Both of us got it. Eggs, bacon, toast, tater tots, and a little egg.
With a little baby egg, which, by the way, for those with a gluten allergy or any sort of allergy, they do not post the allergy offerings on the menu for some bizarre reason.
And you can't
for
mobile
breakfast.
order gluten-free either.
Yes, so you can only see the lunch and dinner options. But from a couple of listeners from our previous trips have told us to try Pim's, and I'm like, I'm looking at it in the morning, I'm not seeing anything, and Caleb's like, let's just go check. And we went to order, they're like, oh, yeah. So for some reason, they don't have it on there. They do have gluten-free options for you guys.
Yeah, and other stuff too. I think they've got like other allergen offerings.
Yes.
But they don't post it for some reason.
So weird.
It's the only restaurant that doesn't.
Yes.
So,
But we highly recommend. Their tater tots were amazing. They had gluten-free toast. They had literally everything. It was so good.
it was very good. After that, we went and rode at Monsters, Inc. with a normal wait time.
It was so awesome.
So if you've listened to the past couple of trip reports, both trips, our wait time went from like 15 minutes to an hour and 15 because of that dang lightning lane.
Yep.
And this time it like stayed what it said. I think it was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And we waited about half an hour.
Not too bad, which we got in line in a good time because it skyrocketed after.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so popular now. I love it.
It is.
I love Monsters, Inc.
Which
So,
is good because that means hopefully they won't get rid of it.
yes. The crowds were surprisingly light that morning, so we got a lot of rides in. And then after lunch hit, everyone came in. It was very busy.
Yeah.
Speaking of lunch, we met up with some of our friends.
friends, Chris and Emily.
Chris and Emily from the Happiest Hour on Earth. We actually were supposed to meet up for lunch, but then we ran into Emily out in front of the animation building.
Yes, with her son.
Yes.
It was like, I feel like Emily and I made eye contact and we're like, oh, hey, I know you.
Like, hey, you.
Yeah, hey, friend.
That was awesome.
And then we got to go on Jesse's Critter Carousel for the first time ever with their family. And let me tell you, I've wanted to go on this forever because I just think it's so fun. We had a blast on there. All of us got on like the little critters and we're just a bunch of adults with like this little one going on
I know.
carousel. It was so fun.
It was very fun. We ate at Lamplight Lounge right after that, and it was amazing as usual.
So delicious.
We sat outside, and it was a fun time. We also went and walked around Galaxy's Edge together. That's pretty much it. It was very chill.
Which we love.
We just used
best
that.
way.
We used that time just to catch up, talk podcasts, talk YouTube, all the things. So it was a good time. We also ran into, speaking of running into people, we also ran into Katie with Fam Travel Folio. And that was awesome in Disneyland.
We got to meet her husband.
Exactly.
And her little one. I think her other little one was sleeping, but
I wish I was sleeping as well.
it was so fun. Again, Caleb and I had just gotten ice cream from Gibson Girl, and we're walking through eating our ice cream, and I like made eye contact with Katie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Katie. So it was just so fun to meet them and
in person.
They're so sweet.
Yeah, it was very fun. So again, it was really cool seeing some friends at the parks. So thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with us. That was a blast. We also checked out the San Francisco construction progress and noticed something a little weird. They painted the bridge like an orangey color.
Yeah.
And in like all the concept art, it was like red, kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge. So I'm kind of curious. Again, it's a really nitpicky thing. I don't really care. But it was just a curious thing we saw.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe it's supposed to fade or something. I don't know.
Caitlin, I don't know. Let the Imagineers do their thing. We went back to the hotel for breaks every single day because we were tired.
I needed a nap.
We need a nap. And so we got back later than normal that day, around like 5:30, because we were hanging out with our friends. And so we walk in the room and I said, hey, Caitlin, let's just sit for a second. But we probably can't sit too long because we have to eat dinner at like a reasonable time because we're going to get messed up, right? So Caitlin's like, yeah, aye, Captain, got it. Cool. And so I think I ran and did something or something like that. I went to the bathroom really quick.
Yeah.
I'm washing my hands. I'm, cleaning up a little bit, changing maybe. And I walk out of the bathroom and Caitlin had crawled in bed, turned the lights off, and I was like taking a nap. And I was like, okay, so ignore me then. So I went out my balcony and I sat there.
It was a great time, honestly.
Were you just tired?
Yeah, I was exhausted.
But I just said I just want to hear the thought process of me like, hey, we don't have much time.
Well, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's going to use the restroom. I know he likes to tidy up. He's going to change. So I'm like, okay, that's about 15, 20 minutes, probably 30 if he's like doing something on his phone. And then I'm like, the time that happens, I'm like, I'll be up. And then he comes out and like we kind of make eye contact and he's like, are you tired? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, you want to just sleep for a little bit longer? And I'm like, yeah. And so I just turned around and I went back to sleep. I think I slept for an hour?
45.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just sat in the balcony and played on my phone.
It was nice. I got a snooze. You got some peaceful, relaxing
whatever.
time.
So I was like, I guess we're going to have a late dinner then. So that was hilarious. I was like, okay, I guess I'm just, okay.
It was great.
Do my own thing. We watched Wondrous Journeys that night, and unfortunately we missed out on the fireworks in Baymax since it was windy outside.
That was a real bummer because that was one of the most, I guess that was the thing that I was looking forward to the most.
Yeah, and the show without those things is okay.
That's okay. I love the soundtrack though.
Yes.
Really good.
And again, I think it suffered from the same thing you mentioned about World of Color 1. It would build up to this moment, like the Tiana part was just getting jamming, and then it would go to another property. And I was like, no. It's okay to stick with a song for more than 20 seconds.
Yes. However, though, the Tiana section, that was so good.
It was good.
Like the music and just oh my gosh, that was amazing.
You can't help but clap along.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. I loved it.
It was really fun. After the show, we headed over to Splash Mountain for our final ride. The line showed 25 minutes when we got into it, and by the time 5 minutes passed, someone said, "Oh, the wait shot up to 65 minutes." So we went from 20 to an hour.
Yes. And it was freezing.
It was really cold.
It was later that night. And I have to say, so a couple of our friends, we were talking about which again, we talked about this on the podcast, how Caleb was going to ride in the front. We were going to do this whole thing as a goodbye to Splash Mountain. And, we're waiting in this line. I'm freezing. I'm in shorts. It's super cold.
Yeah, we didn't
moving.
plan for cold weather.
Yes, because we thought, it's short, which again, it wasn't. It was everyone had the same idea of we're going to get soaked and then leave the park. So by the time we got up there, we're like, Caleb's like, do you want to sit in the front? And I'm like, I literally can't, because I'm like, we're going to get soaking wet. I'm like, can we please sit in the back? And so he was the best husband ever. Let us sit in the back. We didn't wear the ponchos because our friends were like, no ponchos.
Yeah, it's just your last ride, no poncho. So I did listen to that part. So no ponchos, and just like the feet and stuff got wet.
Yeah, but it was so fun. We had such a great time. We were laughing, and it was...
It was a good time. And again, at the same time, we got off and we're like, that was good. It was good seeing it for the last time. But also, I don't know why I'm not feeling terribly sad. I'm excited to see what they do with Tiana's.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
And we'll have the soundtrack forever. I know everyone loves the Zippity Doo-Dah. That's fun. And so we'll be able to listen to that, show the kids still. And
yep, but remember, it's the same ride.
Yeah, it's the same.
Just different people
Trust
inside.
me, they're probably not investing a lot of money into this thing.
No,
so
I don't think so.
It's going to be pretty much the same, just with different characters in there.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's get to the third park day, and that was Tuesday. This is our third and final park day. We started in the morning by grabbing breakfast at Carnation Cafe. We had gluten-free Mickey waffles and a gluten-free breakfast sandwich, which was basically the Galactic Grill's replacement. So if you've been paying attention on Instagram, they removed the famous breakfast sandwich from Galactic Grill, and suddenly it popped up over here at Carnation. A little bit different.
More expensive, and
not as good.
Mm-hmm.
So again, not very great. Honestly, our experience here again was not amazing.
Their bacon's really good, though, I must say.
That's the only thing that was good.
I love their bacon. They have good fruit.
So maybe the regular food is good, but I don't think we're going to be rushing back to eat at Carnation.
Yeah.
We only rode a few rides that day because we had a very important appointment.
We did.
At the time. I can't talk. Why don't you take it?
We had a very important appointment at the Tenaya Stone Spa at the Grand California, which Caleb so sweetly surprised me with.
Well, we kind of ended up surprising each other on accident.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah, I surprised Caitlin with it. I showed her. She had surprised me last trip with this experience. It was called the Mindful Traveler. Mm-hmm. It's an hour-long foot and leg massage.
Yes.
And let me tell you, after 3 park days, you need one of these.
Right.
And so I was like, Caitlin did this for me last trip. I'm going to do it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to go kill some time, maybe go hang out in the animation building while she gets a massage. So I surprised her with it. I said, check your email when she woke up one morning. And she was like, kind of like giggling. And I was like, what are you laughing about? Like, do you like it?
Yeah, I kind of kept quiet. I was like, oh, thank you, honey. That was so sweet. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out because I already had one scheduled for Caleb on a different day. So I'm like trying to call the hotel. I'm like, is there any way that we can get him on the same day? Because I wanted to go at the same time with him. They were so nice. They were able to move his reservation to the day that he had scheduled my reservation. We were able to get it done at the same time.
Yeah. So again, both of us were surprising each other. It was amazing. And let me tell you, that was an hour of pure heaven.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was complete relaxation. They give you cookies. They give you like
fancy
snacks
water.
And water. Their infused water is absolutely delicious. And it's one of those where it is a little more expensive. I cannot tell you enough how I would pay more for it. It's so worth the experience. If you go with your friends, your spouse, your snip, whoever it is, it's so nice. And it's a very great gift idea.
Yeah. And they kind of keep it low stress for you. So, like the last thing you want to deal with is like money stuff after a massage. Like, I don't know why. That instantly re-stresses me out. Like, I'm going to calculate the tip.
Yeah.
And how much was it? Okay, so I'm sitting there, I pull my phone out, and you just kind of get back into like thinking money and life and stuff. It's not fun. So they take payment before. If you're not a hotel guest, they go, hey, let me take your credit card now. And they go, we have everything set up. There's already gratuity built in. Mm-hmm. There's a small percentage fee for like a resort fee, whatever. There's always some kind of fee like that.
Yeah.
And so they add like 20 to 20-something% onto your bill. And it's all done before. So right when you're done, they go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. whatever, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great one.
You just leave.
And you just leave.
It's amazing.
It was so nice. So again, if you have the time and the extra cash to go do this, I highly recommend it. It was very nice. After that, we walked around the park kind of saying our goodbyes because we didn't have enough time to ride anything because we had a flight to catch. And we grabbed flopovers from Cafe Daisy again.
Obviously. So delicious.
Okay, so let's talk about getting home. Our flight was a little delayed. In typical Southwest fashion, they cannot get it right for the life of them. But we did end up meeting an interesting guy on our flight. And Caitlin's, he was very nice. He was very nice. He was one of 15 IMAX technicians left in this country. So he covers the West Coast and he flies all around the West Coast fixing IMAX projectors. And he was very excited to tell us about it. He basically just said, he looked at me and was like, hey, you going home? After we landed in Sac. And I'm like, yep, this is home. He's like, oh, I'm here for work. I said, okay, what do you do for work? And he just could not wait to tell me.
No,
I'm an IMAX technician.
Yeah, and it was almost like he was annoyed that I was around because he just wanted to talk to Kayla.
Yeah. And he kept like telling, go ahead, like
To me.
to you, kind of like, get on, go move. I want to talk to your husband. So he kept telling you to kind of go away.
And I was like, oh.
He was just a nice old man.
It was weird.
He was very nice. So we talked all the way to the parking lot. So we got in a shuttle to go grab our car. He was grabbing a shuttle for a rental car company. We talked the whole time through baggage handling, through,
Yeah.
and he was telling me all about his work and what he works on. Oh, I've serviced your theater before. I've been there like 3 times. They have a really good projector there. He's telling me he's going to Stockton tomorrow. So he was very excited.
It was great.
It was fantastic. So Caitlin didn't care for it.
It
I
was
loved it. So pretty much that brings us to the end of our trip report. There's a couple of random notes here. The weather was insanely bizarre. Hot and muggy day 1, and then very cold day 2 and 3. So just kind of keep that in mind in the spring. It can fluctuate. We were expecting the 80s because that's what the weather app said, and it was like 72.
Yes, and it was chilly.
Yeah.
Windy, and it was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And the merch was kind of lame this trip. We only bought a sweater. Caitlin bought a blue one to match my gray one. It's like I don't even know how to
It's like
explain
the
it.
classic one with like the big Mickey on the front that everyone's buying right now.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Overall, we had a fantastic trip. And again, it's one of those where you kind of go, oh, that's why we end up spending all this money to come here.
Mm-hmm. I already missed it already. I'm like, oh, when are we going back? I don't know.
It was really fun.
It was really fun.
We're looking at sneaking one more in.
I know.
Maybe one more.
And on top of that, we have some really exciting things coming up that we are going to be sharing soon with you guys that we are looking forward to. So again, all in all, it was just a fantastic trip and just so many memories packed in. And again, the biggest thank you to all the cast members that did the little extra magic for us.
Yeah.
And again, all of you just taking the time to like message us. And how many messages did we get saying like, we're so bummed we're missing you like by a day?
We missed a ton of you guys by just a couple days. And again, thanks so much for even reaching out to be like, want to say hi, because that's cool. That's really fun.
We love that. We truly feel like we're all just a big family here. So we love all you guys and we're so appreciative for your support.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you are going to the park soon or you've gone recently, please send us a DM on Instagram or message us on our website. We'd love to hear what your experience was like and kind of share notes, what you thought of certain things. Let's get a conversation going.
Yes, and let us know if you go to Cafe Daisy and if you like the flop over.
Yes.
The gluten-free one.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Market House Podcast. You can follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. Caitlin's going to be sharing a ton from our recent trip, so make sure you find us on there. You can please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Like we said before, it's a huge help to the show. Remember to use our Getaway Today link for your future trip bookings, and you can check out the episode details for that link. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.